Hey guys, it's been a while since I uploaded a video, but today I got a really good one. So in this video, we're going to talk about the light crossbow. Now the light crossbow is a weapon that I've been playing a lot, and I've been wanting to make a guide on this weapon for a while, but I've always felt like I'm just not quite good enough yet on this weapon, so I've been pushing it off. But in the most recent patch, they buffed Demon Boots, and Demon Boots is something that works really well with this build. So I decided to make this video now because I've been having a lot of fun playing it, and I think you guys will enjoy it. So let's start talking about the build. I'm going to put the build on the bottom of your screen there, where I usually have my chat, but it's basically light crossbow, Mist Collar Offhand, Guardian Helmet, Cleric Robe, Demon Boots, Marlock Cape, and since we're running low tier, we're just going to be running Stew for our food. If you want to run a little higher tier, Ale Stew would be better. For abilities and passives, run Q2, W3, passive 2 on weapon, and then just first combat passive and actual armor ability on all the armor pieces. The way this build is played is mostly as a bait build. So you pretend to be weak, you bait your enemy into chasing you, and you use your armor and your helmet ability to prevent yourself from taking damage, and then use that time where you're not taking damage to turn around and burst them with your weapon abilities. And the way you play your weapon abilities is completely dependent and completely revolving around your passive. So you're using the second passive, which resets the cooldown of your Q every 4 ability casts. This includes armor abilities, and it includes abilities that you're missing, right? So if you just shoot the ground with your Q, that gives you a passive stack. Most of the damage you got in this build comes from hitting your Qs. And as long as you're good at landing all of your Qs and hitting your ability rotations, your burst combos, and using your defensives to prevent damage, you can kill some people that are either higher gear than you or has huge HP leads on you. Managing your passive is extremely important. You need to keep track of what stack you're at so that you can keep hitting these double Qs. And the easiest way you do that is by getting to 3 stacks first by just pre-stacking, like shooting the ground and getting your passive stacks up. And once you hit 3 stacks, you double Q. So at 3 stacks, you go QQ and then 1, 2, 1, 2 being 2 other spells, right? So QQ, 1, 2, QQ. Now, for that 1, 2 part, you need to think about which 2 abilities to hit to get to that 3 stacks in the most efficient manner, so you're not wasting your defensives, and also so that you're maximizing your damage. Without having to think about defensives, your highest simple burst is just QQWEQQ, right? So in this next one right here, I'm baiting this guy to dismount on me. I'm taking a lot of mob damage, right? And he sees that I'm low, he tries to rat, so he gets down, and then QQ, WE, QQ, and that just kills him right there because it's low gear. This is a lot of the times you'll see a lower tier rats, especially curse and fire players. They're on cloth, and they usually don't play high tier because they're just there to rat people, right? So this is when this kind of players dismount on you to try to rat you, you can just end their day really quick. But in longer fights, you will need to think more around your defensives, how you can use your Guardian Helmet and your Cleric Robe to proc your passive and still have value as a defensive skill. And also, you need to think about how you manage your HP, because if you're using your defensives too much at the start of the fight, then your Demon Boots are not going to give you a lot of movement speed for you to chase with, right? So you do need to take a little damage on this, and that way your Demon Boots can be strong when you actually use them. But you also don't want to take too much damage, so you end up dying. So this is a pretty high skill kind of build, but it's very satisfying when you can make it work. This clip here is a little example of managing your health. So this warbow was switching skills. That's why he got caught at the start here, because he was switching over to Ray of Light and Q2. And then you're gonna see me actually catching some of his skill shots on purpose, just so I can. Okay, so right here, he's gonna shoot at me with an E, and I could dodge this, but I actually dodge into it so that I can get full stacks on my demon boots, and then we can run them down with the QQ combo that I was saying. And at the end of the rotation there, I still had my defensives up as well, so in case he doesn't die there, we would have time for another rotation. So typically speaking, you really just never want to be full health when you're playing this build. Even when you're just passively fame farming or whatever, just make sure you're missing a couple bars of health. You're actually the safest when you're not full health, right? Because of demon boots. If a high gear player shows up, or if a bunch of rats show up, you can just demon boots out of a fight if you're missing some health already from mobs. Whereas if you're full health and they catch up to you and then they get you low, you might not be able to get away from them with demon boots then, because if they have a purge, they can purge your demon boots, then you won't be able to leave the fight, right? So you're the safest when you're just like walking around at half health. And also, a lot of the times, as you have seen already, when you're walking around half health, people will just burn their boots and burn their mobility to chase you because they're trying to rat you. And you want them to do that, because when they burn their mobilities to chase you, that means they can have their mobilities up to run away with. And since we're playing light crossbow, we don't really have a whole lot of mobility, right? So if they burn their mobility to chase, well, good. That means they won't have it to run away. That makes our job easier when we try to kill them. This is why even after getting rat hit once, I'm just here like getting myself low on purpose, because I know that rat is gonna come back and try again if he sees me low on this mob. Now, because we are always playing low health, we really want to always pay attention to the edge of our screen and listen to sound effects of boots. When people come in at you with boots, you want to use your defensives to kind of brawl with them, because you're not going to outrun them, right? They have mobilities on their weapons, and if you're just trading boots for boots, a lot of times that you will not really be able to get away, even though you're running demon boots. You don't have any dashes, you don't have any speed buffs. Well, you have W, but that's not a whole lot compared to the kind of mobility that other weapons can bring, right? So when they're running faster than you because they have boots, you turn around and brawl them with your helmet and your robe. And when they don't have that speed buff anymore, by that time they should be pretty low health. Then you can use your demon boots to keep the tether and chase them down, and of course kite when you're chasing them down. Okay, lastly, let's talk about counters. So the biggest counter to this build is going to be some kind of a purge build, some kind of build that has a lot of purges, right? So for example, Avafist is very hard to fight. Dual Sword with Finkow and Helmet of Valor, like those are very hard to fight. One-shot builds like Deathgivers or Brawler Gloves that run Mage Robe, those are also going to be really hard to fight. And basically, what makes them hard to fight is if they purge one of your defensives and they have a huge burst, they can just kill you within that one rotation, right? Because you're wearing cloth. So those kind of builds that can just purge my defensive and then kill me in one rotation, those I try to avoid. If it's a dual sword with a hunter hood, without any kind of purge, we can fight those. If it's like a leather jacket Deathgiver, we can fight those. But if it's the major version of Deathgivers, I usually just run away from them. Now, maybe somebody that's better than me at light crossbow can consistently win against these builds, but me, when I took those fights, most of the times I either lost or the fight was so hard that it wasn't really worth it for me. So I recommend, especially if you're just starting out, to avoid this kind of builds that just have like one purge and then kill you within the rotation. Now, a lot of times I take on this kind of builds anyways, just because I'm bored, but also because I have a lot of silver and I can afford to just die a few times, right? It's not a big deal. But if you're starting out, it's probably better to learn the build first from playing against the easier opponents, like learn where your limits are, and then try to take on these harder foes when you're ready for it. Okay, that's gonna be it for this video. Please remember to do all the algorithm things for me, like, sub, comment, all that. And follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Professor Pew Pew, spelled with a 0, so PR0, Professor Pew Pew. I'll have it in the descriptions below. Alright, let's sum it all up. So, use your passive when you're playing light crossbow, manage your passive. Use your defensives to facilitate your passive, but never waste your defensives. And if there's one thing to really keep in mind when you're playing this build, it's QQ, 1-2, QQ. And also, when you're just passively farming mobs or whatever, keep your health low so you can use your demon boots. If a scary person shows up and you're full health, you're probably doomed. But if they show up on your screen and you are already low health before they get to you, then you can just demon boost away, right? So always play at low health, and then besides that, it's just QQ, 1-2, QQ. Just keep that pattern in mind, QQ, 1-2, QQ. Alright, see you in the next one.